the real generation gap isn't between boomers and Gen Z? What if it's between, well, us, everyone alive today, and every single generation that comes next? Now that completely reframes the problem, doesn't it? The future is going to be profoundly shaped by the AI we are building, right here, right now.
This leads us to a big idea from ethics called intergenerational responsibility. It sounds kind of academic, I know, but the idea is super simple. What we do today has consequences for people who aren't even born yet. And with AI, that's not just an idea, it's a literal fact. Every choice we make, every bias we have, every bit of data we feed into these systems, we are actively teaching it. We're programming our future.
So that begs the question, how do you teach an AI to be fair? To figure this out, some researchers came up with a really simple but totally powerful experiment. They wanted to see what kind of values we pass on when we know an AI is watching and learning from our every move.
Okay, so to test this, they used something called the dictator game. It sounds intense, but it's pretty straightforward. One person, the dictator, gets a chunk of money and has to decide how to split it with someone else, a silent partner. Each line you're seeing here just represents a choice they could make, from being super selfish to being pretty generous.
So people played this game, right? And all of their choices were fed into an AI as training data. But here's the brilliant part, the big twist. The researchers told one group of people, hey, just so you know, in a future round, the AI you're training right now is going to be making a decision, and it could affect you. And by the way, your role might be flipped. You might be on the receiving end. Boom. Suddenly there's uncertainty. Their own future is on the line.
And the results? Absolutely fascinating. When people thought their choices only affected someone else, they were selfish 73% of the time. Makes sense. But when their own skin was in the game, when they knew they might be on the receiving end of the AI's decision, selfishness just plummeted. It dropped all the way to 59%. The simple possibility that they'd have to live with the consequences of their own teaching made them better, fairer teachers.
And look, this experiment isn't just a cute little game. It's a perfect metaphor for the massive responsibility we all have right now. And that brings us to the final and most critical part of this story, the very real, long-term stakes of the AI we are building today.
This quote from Geoffrey Hinton, who's literally called the Godfather of AI, is, well, it's chilling. He says, we've never had to deal with things smarter than us. Think about that. For all of human history, we've been the smartest kids on the block. He's warning that era might be coming to an end. We are walking into completely uncharted territory here.
And the potential consequences here are anything but trivial. Hinton and a lot of other experts are predicting mass unemployment on a scale we have just never seen before. We're not just talking about replacing manual labor, we're talking about what he calls mundane intellectual labor. That's a lot of white-collar jobs. And beyond that is the biggest danger of all, what researchers call existential risk. The very real possibility that once AI becomes super intelligent, we might not be able to control it at all.
The warning from AI safety experts like Dr. Roman Yampolsky couldn't be more clear. He says, the moment you switch to superintelligence, we will most likely regret it terribly. He argues we are gambling with everything, the highest possible stakes, and we have no plan, no way to guarantee a safe outcome. We're building something that we fundamentally don't know how to control.
And that brings us right back to where we started, back to that experiment. Every day, our choices, our biases, our moments of kindness or selfishness, it's all becoming training data. We're not just rolling out a new tool for the office. We are literally programming the values of whatever comes next. So the real question isn't about which generation is using AI better today. The real question is, what are we teaching the intelligence that will define the future for every generation that follows us?
And that's the key thing here, right? This isn't a warning from outsiders or critics who don't get the tech. It's a message coming from inside the house, from the architects themselves. They see the code, they know what it's capable of, and they are seriously concerned. So let's break down exactly what they're trying to tell all of us.
First up, let's look at a threat that isn't some far-off possibility. It's already here. The historian Yuval Noah Harari has this really startling way of framing it. He calls it the rise of digital immigrants.
Think about it. We spend so much energy debating physical borders, but Harari's point is that a totally new kind of entity is crossing those borders at the speed of light. These digital immigrants, they don't need a passport or a visa. They can quietly influence our culture, warp political conversations, and build power in ways we are just completely unprepared to handle.
And that brings us right back to Geoffrey Hinton. He sees this whole evolving danger falling into two big, clear categories. There's the one that's happening right now, and then there's the one that could, well, mean the end of everything. So first, you've got the short-term risk. That's just bad actors, humans using AI for malicious stuff. That's already happening. But the second one, that's the long-term, existential threat. That's the moment the AI itself gets off the leash and becomes something we can no longer control. So what does misuse actually look like in the real world? Well, we're talking about cyber attacks on a scale we've never seen. Election chaos fueled by mass disinformation, AI-designed bioweapons, and, get this, autonomous weapons that decide who lives and who dies with no human in the loop. This is not science fiction. This is what keeps security experts awake at night right now.
Okay, so beyond those massive global threats, there's another one that's way more personal. It's a question that affects pretty much every single one of us directly. Will AI make our jobs obsolete?
If you want to grasp the potential scale of this, just look at that number, 99%. AI safety expert Roman Yampolsky isn't predicting a little recession here. He's talking about a future with 99% unemployment simply because AI will eventually be able to do almost every human job.
Now, you always hear people say, oh, but new technology creates new jobs. But the experts are warning that this time is fundamentally different. See, the Industrial Revolution replaced human muscle. The AI revolution is replacing the human brain. So you really have to ask yourself, what job is left when the machine can outthink you at every turn?
When someone asked Geoffrey Hinton what career advice he'd give in this new world, his answer was just stunningly simple. He said, train to be a plumber. Why? Because for now, physically working with your hands in the real, messy world is one of the last things AI and robotics are going to master. It's a pretty stark warning for all the knowledge workers out there.
And all of this, it all builds toward the ultimate challenge, the final boss, the one that truly keeps these experts up at night, the creation of a genuine superintelligence.
So what exactly is a superintelligence? Let's be clear. Forget about a clever chatbot. We are talking about an intellect that is vastly smarter than the most brilliant human in every single field, from science and engineering to art and social manipulation. Everything.
Hinton just has this way of cutting right to the heart of it. This quote perfectly nails the potential power shift. For our entire existence, humanity has been the smartest thing around. What happens to us when we suddenly aren't anymore? What does it feel like to be the chicken?
And this gets to the core of what researchers call the control problem. It's like we're raising this digital tiger cub right now. It's fascinating, it's powerful, and it's growing bigger every single day. The problem is we have absolutely no way to guarantee that when it's fully grown, its goals will have anything to do with ours. And if they don't, we'll be completely powerless to stop it.
So where does all this leave us?
Well, right in the middle of a frantic, high-stakes race. A race with no clear rules, no obvious finish line, and, yeah, potentially catastrophic consequences for everyone.
And here's the fundamental dilemma. You've got companies, and they're driven by profit. You've got nations, and they're locked in an arms race for a competitive edge. Both are slamming the accelerator on AI development, going at breakneck speed, all while the safety researchers, the ones trying to build the guardrails, are pretty much being left in the dust.
But you know, maybe the most unsettling part is this. Even the people building these things don't fully understand how they work. These models are what they call black boxes. We see the information that goes in, and we see the answer that comes out, but the reasoning that happens in the middle, it's a complete mystery. We are building an intelligence that is fundamentally alien to us.
And that leaves us with the most critical question of all. The pioneers, the insiders, the very people who built this technology are now the ones who are deeply worried, and they can't even agree among themselves on how to control it. So if they don't have the answer, who will?